Hey everybody, I hope you're having a great day today. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see everyone. Hey, listen, I wanted to share something with you that God kind of dealt with me about, and I want to see if you have had the same type of experience. So I was listening to someone chat, and it sounded like they were saying the exact same thing that I had said on a previous video that I had made. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, that's what I've said. And then I started thinking about someone else who, so many of you know that I'm a millinery designer. I design women's hats. I specialize in fascinators. And right on the heels of that, I remember thinking about this one designer who it seems like whenever I post something, they post something not too long after that using the same colors or color combinations. And I remember having in the past thought, oh, they're just doing that because I did it. As if I don't even know this person, they don't know me. But you know how thoughts come into your head. And I start thinking about that, like this one person is saying something that I said at some point, back when in one of my videos, and this other person seems like shortly after I post something that I've done, then they do something kind of similar. And the Lord just said to me, how do you know, first of all, that that's what's really happening? How do you know it's not a coincidence? And how do you know that I have not told the one person to say those things or told the other person to design one of their hats the way they're designing it just to see how you would react? Now, when God gets with you, I don't care how old you are, we are all still his children. And when he gets with us, I mean, we know we've been gotten, right? So I didn't really have anything to say because now I'm feeling like, kind of embarrassed and not quite ashamed, but feeling like I should be ashamed. And the Lord just showed me how are you, speaking about me, how are you going to be a trailblazer if you're bothered by little things like that? And so he just really ministered to me about how, there's a point in our journey, in our Christian journey, where we learn and we glean, we learn how to conduct ourselves and we build our relationship in the Lord. But then there comes a time where once in a while, God might use you to be a trailblazer. He might use you to do something that someone else has not thought of, to do something that someone else has not seen. Most of us don't necessarily know what to do or the capacity to which we can do something without having seen it demonstrated before. And what if God is using you or using me to be that for someone else or for a whole lot of someone else's? What about women or men, just people of color, I'll say, who broke the ranks into executive positions? What if they said, oh, she's just doing that because I'm doing it. She's just trying to get promoted because she saw me being promoted. Well, that's not the reason why they've done it, I hope. What about, let's go back, 100 years or so when there were people of color who started different universities. They didn't knock down all those obstacles and go through all that they went through because, I mean, we do know that they didn't have it easy doing this, right? They didn't go through all that just for everyone else to just look from the sidelines and not, partake of their hard work. And so God was showing me that, when you are a trailblazer, you don't do it just for the sake of you. you do it so that other people can learn, they can glean, and they can partake of what you have done so that they can build upon that and they might even do it better. So, what are you going to do if someone says something that they heard you say and they get a better result than what you got? Are you going to be mad about that? Or are you going to be grateful that God used you to be able to be a blessing to that person? What are you going to do if someone does see the way that you're making a hat, for instance, and they use that same color combination and their hat sells right away and yours is still sitting on the shelf? Are you going to be mad about that? What if they never thought about using those colors in their hat? What if what I told you to do was to be a blessing to them, because they would be able to see what you're doing and realize, oh, this looks nice. Yeah, I can use that color combination. Or that sounds pretty good. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna use that in the next video that I make. And so sometimes God gives us he puts us in situations where he's teaching a lesson somewhere down the line. And so it really stuck with me how he said, how do I know that he did not tell someone to say that, or tell someone to make a hat that same way or similar way, just to see what my reaction would be? And to get me to react the way that I have reacted, so that he and I, the Lord and I, can have this time together, so he can minister to me, so that I can come up higher. And so I just want to share that with you all out there, to be willing to be a trailblazer. And someone might do better than you are doing in a certain area, but are you willing to be a teacher to someone? Are you willing to allow people to see what you've done and realize, oh, okay, I can do that too, and be willing that they might do it better than you? Because whatever we do, even though we should be giving it our best, we do, right, understand that there's always going to be somebody who's going to come along and do it better. And so we've got to be secure enough within ourselves to know that God is using us the way that he has chosen to use us, because that might be someone else's stepping stone to get where God is taking them. What if God has you doing what he's given you a certain gift that he wants you to utilize to help someone else get where you thought he was going to take you? What if your positioning in a certain area is to help someone else get to a level of success that you assumed you were going to get to, but God has you handing someone off into success because he has you stationed at a certain place in order to be a blessing to someone else's life? Can you receive that from God? So I want us to just be mindful of the ways in which God uses us to be a trailblazer. This made me think of something. I brought it back to my remembrance, how years ago, when I lived in Central Ohio, I had a coworker who had a team of people under her. And this coworker, she kind of thought outside the box, and a lot of times she would wear like really beautiful clothes, really beautiful outfits. And then sometimes she would wear things where I'd be like, girl, this is not the place for all that. Well, but I digress. Let me get back to the topic here. And one day I remember distinctly, she wore to work a red leather jacket. And I mean, it was bad too. It was beautiful. And then about probably like maybe a week or so, probably not more than 2 weeks later, the person directly under her on her team, so the person who reported directly to her, came to work with a red leather jacket, and hers was beautiful too. Well, the initial person, the one who was the supervisor of this team, Oh, she talked about that woman like a dog, even though that was her direct report. She was so upset that this woman had come in with this red leather jacket. And who does she think she is? And she's just wearing a red leather jacket because she saw me with one on. And she was so going on and on. And so I remember saying to her, well, what if you inspired her to wear a red leather jacket? What if seeing your jacket made her think, oh, I love the way that looks, so let me see if I can find one too? What if you inspired her? And it seemed like nothing I said would calm her or comfort her. She just talked about that woman and talked about her. And I remember walking away thinking, she doesn't even have the confidence or the character to receive such a compliment that this woman saw her wearing a beautiful red leather jacket and realized, oh, that looks so nice on her. Let me see if I can find one for myself. She doesn't even have the character to receive that as a compliment. And so God brought that back to my remembrance for a reason in, this time right now, to remind me to walk in the character of receiving a compliment. If someone is doing something that they've seen me do, or they're saying something that they've heard me say, it's not to compete with me. And even if it is to compete with me, the thing about competition is I don't do competition because I feel like I'm the best version of me that there's ever going to be. And so if someone wants to compete against me, then I've already won the competition, because that's just telling me that you're using me as your standard of measurement. I mean, I'm not going to get into some contest to try to, outdo me. And so if I'm the measure by the standard by which you measure yourself, then have at it. Just do your little competition. But I'm the best me that there's ever going to be. And so God was telling me and showing me that it's not always about competition. Just be confident enough to teach somebody something. When you are a trailblazer, you are offering something that you want people to learn from, to glean from, to see, to observe, and then to be able to utilize it as they move on. No one who's a trailblazer just goes through all that they've been through to get where they are, to demonstrate what they're demonstrating, just for everybody else to just see it, let it fall to the ground and step over it and keep going blindly on. You want to help people and give somebody something to utilize in their lives, and then build upon that and probably do even better with that than you did. So if you hear someone saying something that you've said, or you see someone doing something that you've done, don't take it in a negative way. Have the character and the courage and just the spirit of the Lord to know that you are being a blessing to someone, even if they don't see it that way, even if they never say thank you or acknowledge you. You do your part in acknowledging God to show you how to do this in the first place, so that you can be a blessing to someone else. All right. So just have the character to not be annoyed that someone is doing what you're doing, because God has blessed you to be able to do it in the first place. All right. So don't stop being a trailblazer. Keep doing what God has told you to do, and keep paying it forward, and being a role model for someone else to learn that they can be successful too. All right. So this is Sharon with Statuesque by Sharon. Thank you for stopping by and visiting, and I'll be talking to you all again soon. I love you. Hope you have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.